What made you join the cross country team in the midst of a pandemic?
So I ran in high school, and I really just needed to do some exercise in order to keep myself up and to prolong my disability. I have CMT, so it's pretty much what it is. The signal between my brain and my muscles get weaker and weaker. When Mr. Palladino said about everyone should join cross country, I immediately yes, I want to go back to cross country. I want to do it in college as well. And the pandemic, I think it also, throughout the summer, because of the pandemic, I wasn't running at all. So I think it also kind of encouraged me that I had to get back to cross country because there's no way that I was going to continue doing it on my own because I didn't do it the entire pandemic.
When I joined the cross country team, I don't think I knew that the pandemic was going to happen. I kind of started running and planning to join before it happened. But then after it did happen, I was really glad for it during the summer, knowing that I was going to go into cross country because it helped me keep running throughout the summer and really get stronger, and it kind of gave me something to do during all those months of isolation. So yeah, it was just kind of something to do during the pandemic.
And I wanted to join cross country because I wanted a new challenge. I wanted to push myself, and I wanted to really start doing distance, and I really want to just have that challenge. And I always loved being on teams. When I was in any sort of sports, I loved teams. And throughout my college career, I've been on teams with Residence Hall Association and student programs, but I wanted a team that competed. And cross country was just the perfect opportunity with that. And during Great War, Mr. Palladino really pushed me in Great War to join cross country. So I think it was a really great opportunity.
How did you feel when you first heard the news that the season was canceled?
Well, for me personally, it was the first rough couple of weeks. Felt very unmotivated. Me being a 3-year runner, having no CSAC, no regional race, it was really hard not having that this year. But once I saw the plan that our coaches put in place, it didn't seem so bad, and it seemed like a really fun season.
At first, I was kind of just in disbelief because I didn't think that everything with COVID was going to last into the fall, and so I was just kind of waiting for them to kind of go back on their word and say, just kidding, you're still going to have a season. But in a different way, it was really freeing when I would run because I didn't feel the pressure to be getting really fast. It was just I want to keep running because I knew we were going to have a season, but it didn't necessarily need to be super competitive. So I would say that overall, it was a little bit sad to not have an end goal, but I did find it freeing in that I was running a lot further, just because I wasn't worried about speed as much.
Well, my first thought was I had to figure out a way to provide an experience for our student athletes. I got together with the coaches of each sport to try to determine what would define an experience. And so, as we saw in the fall, of the sports that we were competing in, they all had different models. With cross country, we went ahead and developed our own little running series. We created our own races. The coaches had a curriculum in planned already that included other things outside of running. So we were really blessed that the coaches and the student athletes embraced the challenges and the changes. Just because they knew that we were actually doing more than most other schools in our region.
Samson and I met it with the opportunity. What could we do now that we don't have a season? So it kind of took a lot of pressure off in terms of the competitive side and gave us the opportunity to achieve many of the other objectives that we had with reimagining the possibilities of a cross-country season. We trained 4, 5, 6 days a week. We established a racing series in the twilight of the season. So our objectives became, although it was always part of our objectives, but they became more important, which was the idea of building a community, engaging the students in trail running, finding an opportunity to worship Christ through their running experiences, and they became, in a sense, paramount.
How did this team help you get through some of the rough times?
This team was actually more of a community to me than I would have ever known that it was going to be. I think that just the ways that we would get together both on the trails and off the trails, and just like became a family was really cool because I'm friends with people on this team, and I have a lot more people in my circle that I don't think I would have ever talked to otherwise, just because like we're in different classes or we just have different friend groups. So it was just really cool to be a bigger, more inclusive family.
Everyone was really encouraging. There was a whole spectrum of runners, obviously. So there were people who were really good and people who had a lot of experience, and then there were other people like me who were just kind of there to act like fools and have a good time. And everyone was very encouraging, and there was no like, if you're not good, then why are you here? And people didn't like question you if you weren't improving fast enough or just being fast enough in general.
What would you say you have learned about yourself during this time?
I think the team has really been almost like a kind of comic relief during all of this, because there's just been so much laughter, so many great moments, and most of the time I'm just kind of working and being serious. And so it's been really great to have like something at the end of every day to like go out and like be with people who make me laugh. We have a great time together.
What was some of your funniest moments of the season?
Where to begin? I mean, I think I probably cried laughing every single week at this team.
I think the picture of you, Greg, standing on the table, really sums up our team very well, because we are wild, we are crazy, and we are a fun team.
Well, everyone got stung by bees. There was like a flock of bees that attacked everyone, and even though it was probably inappropriate because people were like screaming and crying and injured, I definitely wanted to laugh at them. I didn't though. I did on the inside.
We were at 5 Mile Woods, and I find this blue bonnet. And so this blue bonnet was just left there for weeks. So I start wearing the bonnet, I'm running around with the bonnet, we pass the bonnet to Chris, who is now running with the bonnet. A couple people have been wearing this bonnet. And we're at the end of the run, and we're stretching. And Jacob Abrahams, who don't know Jacob, he's a very, serious guy. And I am always trying to push him out of his comfort zone. I'm like, Jacob, will you wear this bonnet? He's like, no way, no, I will not wear the bonnet. I will not wear the bonnet. And I'm pushing, like, dude, come on, just put it on, let's take a picture. So then, at the end of the stretching, Jacob comes up to me, and he goes, seriously, Greg, seriously, I will put on the bonnet. And that had me crying. I was laughing so hard, and we took a picture of Jacob in the bonnet, and it was hilarious.
Trail names from GPS to debit card to the Dog Whisperer, to Sass and Wit / Mort, and from Sonic to Blizzard and Thor and William Jennings Bryan, and conversations that we had, what's said on the trail stays on the trail kind of things. Looking for Chris and Wes at Core Creek Park. Worrying about Jacob and Katya getting lost. These kind of things you can't script it.
Funniest moment of the season probably has to be when me and Chris got lost. We were running and we were behind Greg and Caden and Tim, and they took one turn and we kind of sat there like, which way did they go? And we just didn't go the right way. And so we were lost for a good 20 minutes, and we were a little bit late, but it was a lot of fun.
How would you say you've been a mentor to younger runners this season?
I would say like preparing them for the future, because like this is going to be our future team next year and seasons to come. I enjoyed all the times we've been in the weight room with Joseph, Tim, Caden, like helping them, showing them how to lift the weights and getting them stronger physically, and having conversations outside of cross country, like relating to like integrated conversations, and just using my voice, using my hard work and dedication to cross country. I think them seeing me work hard motivates them.
Did you feel mentored by the older runners on the team?
Absolutely. I would say, all the guys on the team, Greg, Katie, Chris, they all loved me so much. They all had this brotherly care for me. But they also were so wise. They were more mature than I was. So I think it was definitely, and also they were better runners than I was. So it was like this idea that these guys who are older, more mature than I did, loved me deeply, but then they also, they were more mature. So there was this idea that I kind of want to be more like them, and they also were just great men I want to be with.
So were there times when we were running on the trails that it felt like there wasn't even a pandemic or anything going on?
Actually, I would have to say that felt like every time we went on the trails, to be honest. When we were on the trails, I felt like it's this big open space. I didn't have to worry about this pandemic that was happening, even though I believe the pandemic didn't really take the major turn until the season actually started, but I just felt really open. And the community that we created just kind of made me forget about the pandemic, kind of made me forget that, oh, well, there's this big sickness going around that I should stay inside. When we were running, I felt like being outside is the greatest thing ever. And running is like the greatest thing ever. And I'm just going to keep doing it despite the fact that there is a pandemic.
So your first ever race as a runner, what was that like for you?
Very bad. I walked a lot of it, sadly. There was this like very slender Indian man, and we became friends because he was running pretty slowly, but he ran the whole time. So I would run a little bit, and I would pass him, and then I would be walking because I couldn't run. And he would catch up to me, and he'd be like, "You're doing great, keep going." And it was very nice of him, and then I'd run a little bit more, and I passed him like 3 times, and then he passed me, and he actually beat me in the end.
This was definitely the weirdest racing season I've ever had. The Tyler State Park run, I was running and completely blew by the turn. And so I got lost. And I ended up running, and I'm running one way, and the rest of my team is coming at me running the other way. And so I'm like, this is horribly wrong. And I'm screaming at Coach Palladino, like, what happened? Like, what did I do? There's arrows going this way and that way, and I'm just lost. And so I remember laughing about it at first, being like, oh, I got lost, and I got the trail name GPS in that run. And so now that I have one, is nice. But at the same time, I was really upset and I was frustrated because I started thinking about personal goals and achievements again, and thinking about the fact that I wanted to leave a mark on my last season. And so I remember I had to go back home, and I was driving, and I called one of our other runners, Caden Proctor, and I talked to him. I said, look, I'm really frustrated and I need someone to talk to because I don't want to be like this. And I know I shouldn't be like this. And so we just talked, and he helped me out, and he helped me see that it was okay, and that he understood my pain and my concerns, and was just showing me how he wanted to get better, not just for himself, but he wanted to get better so that I had someone to run with.
I wasn't feeling well the day I did the Veterans 5K. My knees were still hurting, but I think I was able to, since I've been running, even if I was just jogging, since I was running on my knees, even when I felt bad, I think the ability to then, when it did feel bad for the veterans, I was able to do better than I expected because I had been able to push through it, even though not push to the point where I was getting an injury or like severely hurting myself.
Getting a concussion was not how I wanted to spend fall break, but it was pretty memorable. Coming back off that, I took about 3 weeks off before Kara allowed me to run again, so that wasn't optimal. And I almost threw up after my race, but I timed a lot better than I thought I would, and it was a beautiful day, and it was so good to be back on the trails and with my teammates.
My favorite race was probably the Veterans 5K. The course was just incredible. It was super windy, and I love windy courses. And it was right after the Taylor State Park run that we did with just our team, and I came up ahead of Annika, and Annika told me during that race, the Veterans 5K, that she was gonna really be like pushing to catch up to me, and that was like a really awesome challenge to have, and just an awesome opportunity to just keep pushing myself to do better.
We were driving back, got the text from my dad saying, you need to come home as me to come home as close as possible because your mom has COVID. So I was devastated. I was very mad I couldn't race the next day. Yeah, because my Achilles was feeling good. It was really the only time in the season I was actually feeling close to 100%. And I was very looking forward to this course because it seemed like a good course to PR on. But the team really rallied behind all the food they gave my family. My family greatly appreciated it. They just been around me so much, and my family really appreciate all the things they did for us with the food and all the prayers that's been poured into us. And overall, my mom recovered and she got better.
What did you think of the integrated discussions?
I thought the integrated discussions were really cool. I will admit it was the part of the season that I was most skeptical about. I was a little bit worried about it. It seemed kind of weird to have cross-country class in the middle of our season, but it ended up being really cool. A really cool opportunity for me to connect even further with these people on my team that I wouldn't have been friends with otherwise, and just kind of hear their thoughts about anything from autumn to protesting in sports. So we talked about things that were real and relevant, and I just left that class feeling like it was a meaningful experience every time.
I really enjoyed the integrated discussions. I am a very conversational person, and so to have part of this season be that we're going to meet up once a week and just talk about just the randomest things, whether that's autumn or protesting or anything, I just thought it was a really good opportunity to grow with the team and really just have that community and to just talk with people.
What has God been teaching you in this season?
I think I've come to value like really different things in the last year or so. Not so much like personal things, but just like how to care about others and invest in others, and that just people are really great, and I think this team has been the perfect atmosphere for like coming to those conclusions.
In all honesty, I guess I could say before I joined the cross-country team, I like to be, I guess the best way to put it is I like to be a loner. I communicated with very few people. I sort of kept myself out of the community, even though I tried to integrate myself in. I didn't think I really could. So I just said, I'm just gonna come to school, I'm gonna keep trying to integrate myself in the community. It's not really going good. After cross-country, that became a lot easier, and I became more integrated in the community, more open. That kind of lone wolf personality that existed for 2 years just disappeared. And I became open to everyone, was able to talk more, to integrate more into the conversation. I felt like a different person, and I felt, I guess, having more fellowship.
Starting in January, we're going to have a whole year of different races that we're going to sponsor as a university. Some of them along with other organizations like Down syndrome or sex trafficking or pregnancy centers or whatever the case may be. We're going to be the main organization running the thing. So it's really exciting. This is something that when I first met with Coach Palladino in Hampson last spring, this was sort of like our 3 to 5 year plan. Fortunately, COVID turned it into a 6-month plan, and it's turned out to be really, really fun and exciting. So we're excited about what it holds, and hopefully really getting the Cairn University name out into the entire running community, not just the college runners.